I think I'll be trying to tell you the enterprises that we do have. But right now, I want to share with you the map for this farm, such that you have expectations of what you are here to see. So I think I have to distribute it.
Where are we? Oh, you're giving it?
Right now, we are at the office.
Where is the office?
We are down here.
Okay.
We are here.
Okay.
So as you look at this map, it will give you an insight of what you are here to see. So this farm sits on 10 acres. Okay. So right now I think we are in our third acre.
Okay.
So expect to move 7 acres up.
Wheelbarrow.
7 acres up. No, you cannot go. You are not allowed to.
So I think
Let's go.
we move up.
Yes, we follow you because we don't
Now,
know.
right now, we are starting from the
Encon.
Members, you can
Jaja.
Our crop also lies here. This is cinnamon.
Okay. Dalasini.
Yes. Now with this cinnamon, I strategically planted it here at the beginning of the farm. There are like 2 acres here of cinnamon. I have like 280 trees of cinnamon.
Okay.
And then it acts as a repellent in my garden. So you know the winds come from down there. When they come, they flash up there, and then the cinnamon purifies my air. Now the cinnamon, it is one of the trees that doesn't shed leaves.
Wow.
It doesn't shed leaves. So, and everything on this cinnamon plant is extremely important. Right from the roots. I don't know whether my manager is. Because I want cinnamon, they are extreme repellents to the soils as well. Actually, the roots smell even much better than the leaves. That's what we use in sauna. Expensive saunas use cinnamon roots.
Wow.
It's extremely good. And I think we have to make samples and then we shall bring them to the discussion room. And when you look at the cinnamon itself, it doesn't shed leaves. From the first leaf, you see, they are still here. So the leaves, we use them as spices in teas and rices, pilaus, and that kind of stuff. And the barks, we also use them. Actually, when you look at this cinnamon plant, I need everything from the roots to the leaves. And when you look at the seeds make cinnamon oil. When you touch them and then you squeeze them in your hands, you'll see that it's oil. And so many times when I'm working here, when I feel my hands are rough, all I have to do is to come and touch the cinnamon fruits, and then I get fresh. So this is my power crop here. Actually, when you look here, I intercropped with coffee. You see how healthy the coffee looks. Actually, this coffee is like, it's approximately 2 years, but then it looks really healthy.
Yeah, very.
And when you look at the sweet plantain, still it's healthy, and it's cutters of cinnamon. Cinnamon, it's a repellent, but at the same time, it's a windbreaker. Remember, we are on a hill. So let us
Madam
proceed up.
Nansubuga, before maybe she has not mentioned, cinnamon is a global commercial good.
Yes, exactly.
Everywhere you go, because even scientists show that it is medicinal in management of diabetes and everything. I'm not a scientist, but I use it. And I'll ask you, madam, that yes, they extract some of the roots such that when we sit there, the members can smell it. So we have, from her, have now found out you must not plant it from the conventional way. It can be planted with other plants because it is beneficial.
It is particularly beneficial for old men or old women.
Thank you, Honorable. So, Madam Nansubuga, lead the way.
Now, what I didn't mention,
Okay.
I may irritate certain people, but when you look at my coffee as well, the manure I apply, it is the droppings from the piggery section. I apply it as raw as it is. As raw as it is. I found out that on the coffee, it is a miracle manure.
Okay.
It performs, right?
Better than the cow dung.
Better than the cow dung.
Okay.
So the cow dung, the pigs you see here,
Because we follow Madam Nansubuga to go up. Members, let us now go up. And be careful because there are some holes that you are not. Experience and how she does it. You see, we have matoke, which we eat as green banana as food, but we also have plantain. East Africa is deficient of plantain by 68%. We need it, but we don't have it. The many farmers who try and use conventional means fail in the first year they plant plantain. This woman is growing plantain year in, year out, because people are not using agroecology method. When you come here, just look at that bag. How many kilograms? Maybe she has not just explained to you how she makes the money out of these things. And now she has taught us that, you see those holes, maybe she has explained it. When you dig there, you take away all the pests that would have eaten the plant, because they are looking for the warmth, for the cooler place there. So they go there. As they go there, they are getting away from your plant. So you don't use synthetic chemicals, because synthetic chemicals will kill them, yet you need them. And again, the roots eat from there. So this is, for smallholder farmers in East Africa, this is a game changer. If we can just scale it out, we are good to go. And before we start the mangoes, I would have asked us to also go and see the new plantation. It's just there, and then we look at how bare, rocky the land is, and these plants are flourishing. When you look at the soil, it is even red, even on top, suggesting that maybe the nutrients are not there. But you look at how the line and how the new bananas are coming up, because she has decided to dig, and then you see the manure is there. And this now explains why in agroecology we emphasize
the roots to come and feed here. It's like this is a feeder. So the more the manure you apply, the healthier the plants will come out.
Sorry.
So my narrative, or my kind of farming, is that you see how soft this one is, but then it is so strong that the roots will penetrate through this
And
maram.
come and eat here.
Yes,
Okay.
like what you've seen.
Okay.
And I have to prepare myself such that when it gets bigger, it has a food.
But your food may be eaten by the...
It's okay. Actually,
This is also
right
your
now, he's 100% right. So these kind of feeders, they feed also the mangoes. and they feed also the guava. So it's 100% okay because everything you see, I need it. So it's as simple as that.
And what is the difference between putting manure direct and having these feeders? What does the feeders do that the root service does not do?
Now I'm going to explain that again. I try to explain that. As the crop gets bigger, the roots go further. Now when you maintain manure there, that means you are making something confined. You need to have a bigger kind of crop.
Madam, plants are like human beings, so
And they find it very far.
they are adoptive.
If you put it
If the
around,
food
it
is
will
far
not
and
find
water is far, they will have to go for it.
Yes, but in most cases, if you apply fertilizer around there, the roots will come on top. When the roots come on top, they are weakening the base of the plantain.
Actually,
Acknowledging the fact that plantains are heavy feeders, they put on heavy mass and even heavy branches. So if the roots come on top, you are weakening the plant so much and can easily fall.
That is
down.
now a very good explanation.
But
And then
also
there is another one,
the pest.
that the pests will now try to
Yes.
come
follow
here.
the manure
We talked
Exactly.
about that.
and
Yes.
leave the plant
Exactly.
so that the plant can be safer.
Exactly.
Madam Nansubuga, as we move to the mangoes, a bit of the economics of the plantain, the markets, the economics, and the finances from because everybody wants to make money out of the plantain. The science has been explained, but at the end of it all, there must come money.
Now Mr. Kavanda, rather Dr. Kavanda mentioned something about that.
Yes.
You know, plantain, as we look at the East African community, for us here, originally we are so good with that kind of plantain, the cooking plantain. But this is my narrative about transiting from there to this. Now, remember I'm in the village, right? So access in the market is a little bit hard, not really hard, but far, much as they come for it here. Now, when a banana plantain, rather the local plantain, gets ripe, I discard it there and then. It goes to my cows. But for the plantain, the gonja, when it gets ripe, that is where the market goes really high. Are we together? So at the same time, the sweet plantain has so many things that you can make out of it, other than the local kind of plantain. So the narrative of the economic sense here, if I have to sell like 20,000 green banana plantation, here I do times 5. My bunch, which I can sell at 20,000 there, I sell my bunch of plantain at 100,000. Reason one, it makes crisps, it makes all snacks, it makes, you can eat them at the roadside, it does so many things. And at the same time, it's extremely resilient when it comes to
because time is not on our
farming.
side. Some members have not come.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Let us proceed.
Jen,
Dear
thank you so
honorable
very
members.
much. I've learned why I was failing in my farm.
Have to do is to make a basin. You know, some of the things you have to discover them as you are working. Because I said if I make terraces, the roots, where are they going to go? Remember, they are keeping on moving around. So for me right now, given that I'm working on a hilly maram kind of soil, I need this kind of basin. And actually when it rains, this one acts like a basin.
Yeah.
You find when water is all clogged here. So this is how I can maintain my mangoes to be as healthy as they are, much as it's a sunny kind of what. Because you know, the water retention here is a little bit lower because of the maram, but when you look at the tree itself, it tries to cover this kind of area where the water has clogged, and then the retention level increases. That is my science. I don't know where you layer. So they are always disturbed by flies, fruit flies, wasps. The biggest problem, fruit flies, I don't have them because of the bees. So they fight. Actually, the bees helps me out to to chase away the fruit flies. Yes, yes, you need beehives. But there is that stubborn insect which we call a wasp, the small kind of wasp. Now, one person in Uganda, they call it kalalankoma. They are small flies, a small kind of wasp. They are very stubborn because they fight the bees. Now, and when they come to the mangoes and they bite the mango, they hatch there. They lay eggs there, and the eggs, they keep on hatching. So somehow, if I don't have to spray like the contemporary people, I try to trap them. And you see how fresh they are. Sometimes when I had started this kind of work,
many.
yes, I could trap even a full bottle. Yes, I could get a full bottle of these flies. But as I started the keeping, when I started beekeeping, these flies are less.
They are edible.
They are not edible, but they are very stubborn. I don't spray, I just put it here.
Okay, madam, maybe to add on. These wasps, there is
Attracted by something.
one of the wasps which is either the female or the male, which is more attractive eggs on the fruit. So this is the one which is more attracted. It comes here to look for the male. As it looks for the male, it enters there because this pheromone has a male component, it's male, and so it enters into the what? The container.
So let us.
ukashobora kubyigisha n'abantu
twatwara ku isoko
usanga ari amashampiyo cyangwa amavirus. Is this possible or it's not? No, this is very possible. Very possible. And just because I say patience and land. May I have a tree like this?
Allow me to introduce the chair, Honorable, for the Agriculture Committee, who will give you all that from the East Africa Legislative Assembly, who will also be speaking to us. Allow me to introduce the woman farmer, the agroecology entrepreneur on whose farm we are today, Madam Nansubuga. She will also be speaking to us, particularly how she's making money out of agroecology. I also have Bernard Bwambale, the coordinator of Food Safety Coalition. He will also be talking about the need to have biopesticides in farming. I have our colleague from Tanzania, Tabio, yes, and I also have Shafiq from Fian. So this is the statement. We are going to use very limited time because the panel is really big, and we did it intentionally because we are now a movement. Across East Africa community, the agriculture and food systems are facing mounting pressure, climate shocks ranging from prolonged droughts to unprecedented rainfall, which continue to take away productivity and expose many East Africans to food insecurity. As East Africans, we know that you are what you eat. But we also understand as East Africans that we must have a food systems approach that does not only give us food, but also give us good health. It is health and also what you eat that makes who you are. We also know that East Africa is facing very rapid trends in soil depletion and also very erratic rainfall due to climate change, and also deforestation and all shocks that are coming from climate change. We have the answer. The answer to that is agroecology. We have many farmers, we have many organizations that are forming a movement in East Africa to promote agroecology. Many farmers are trying,
to do agroecology, but it is very difficult because there is no law, there is no policy to work as a foundation and also framework to assist them thrive. It is unfortunate that the international multinationals who are selling seeds which are hybrid seeds and synthetic chemicals have been given a lot of leeway to do a lot of marketing, and what they are marketing are synthetic fertilizers which eventually are causing many non-communicable diseases in the food system. We as civil society organizations working with the East African Legislative Assembly are working together now to come up with a policy and a law to make sure that the East Africans thrive in their lives. Our call to action is to ask the East African Legislative Assembly and also the partner states in East Africa to support agroecology because it is a panacea to food security, food sovereignty, health, environmental integrity, and longevity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My name is Doreen Akware. I'm the Program Manager, Sustainable Agri-Food Systems and Climate Justice at the Center for Food and Adequate Living Rights. We are here as agroecology actors from different countries, from different organizations, and we are here telling the world, telling East Africa that we are advocating and also advancing for the legal and the policy frameworks for agroecology in East Africa. As we've been doing and we've been working with the civil societies, we've realized that agroecology is the panacea for food security, food safety, and also resilient and addressing all the issues that we are facing currently in the food systems. We are here to call upon all agroecology actors. We are here to have a capacity building with the IALA members, and also here at the field where we've toured in the farm. We've seen the practicality of agroecology. We've seen how the food systems work when we work together. So we are here with the IALA members telling the world that if we address the issues of food security through agroecology, it is the way to go. However, the challenge that we are facing is the lack of the legal framework to protect, for example, our farmer here that we have. Once she's an agroecology actor, once she's an agroecology farmer, once she's an agroecology entrepreneur, we don't have a law at the East African level to protect her when she's transacting business in agroecology. We are here to call upon the East African Legislative Assembly that let's work together to ensure that we have a law and a policy at the East African level. Thank you so much, and I would like to call Bernard to talk about the issue of the highly hazardous pesticides and how agroecology is the answer to highly hazardous pesticides.
Mbale, I am the coordinator for the Food Safety Coalition of Uganda. Just to begin with, you realize that most of the pesticides that are being used in our countries in East Africa are actually termed as highly hazardous pesticides according to WHO, but also FAO. So what that means is that we have a criteria for those molecules. For instance, we know that highly hazardous pesticides are carcinogenic in nature. What that means, carcinogenic, means that if people have exposure to this kind of molecule, then they are likely to have cancers. That one is well documented as one of the criteria. Secondly, we know that some of them are mutagenic. What that means is that continuous exposure to these molecules can actually alter your DNA. Can you imagine your DNA being altered because of exposure? The other is that most of them are actually endocrine disruptors. What that means is that these molecules have the ability actually to disrupt the system of your body that is responsible for regulation of your body hormones. We also know that some of them are reproductive toxicants. What that means is that continuous exposure to these molecules can actually affect our reproductive system. In women, for instance, we know very well that it can lead to preterm birth, it can lead to infertility, it can lead to miscarriages, etc. So continuous exposure to highly hazardous pesticides have a kind of a risk to our reproductive health. But also we know that most of these molecules actually are toxic to pollinators. Now pollinators, we cannot produce food without pollinators. So if our pollinators are actually vanishing because of growth use of highly hazardous pesticides, then we do not see productivity increasing in our countries. And unfortunately, most of our countries, if I give a case for Uganda, you know that 65% of the chemicals that we are using in agriculture in this country are not approved for use in EU, for instance. In the European Union, they cannot use them. And the reason is, why are they not using these molecules? Because they are actually disastrous, one, to the environment, and secondly, to the people who are actually using them. And in our context, how are our farmers even handling them? Are they educated? Are they sensitized about this? Does the law protect them? If you've been reading, we've been documenting these highlights, that most of these chemicals end up in our water bodies, what we are actually drinking, what we are bathing, what we are using for all other things in our homes. All our water bodies are now almost contaminated, our air is contaminated, our food is contaminated, and at the end of the day, we may not survive these illnesses. And therefore, we call upon really our governments to regulate these chemicals, and if it were possible, not even if it were, we need to ban the highly hazardous molecules, and so they don't come to our countries. We can have alternatives like the biopesticides. We have them, but they are not being promoted, they are not being supported. No funding, actually substantial funding, is given to biosolutions. And agroecology can be the answer to go, and I think we can leverage on that to make sure that we improve our food systems and the health of our people. Thank you.
We are all aware that seed is the most important input in food and the agricultural production. You can have all other inputs, but without seed, you can't make it in agriculture. We are aware that in Africa at large, the study shows that about 80% of seed that are used in food production come from the farmers, farmer-managed seed, and that percentage differ from one country to another. Others 60, others 70, but generally in East Africa, I can say over 70% of the seed that are used by farmers are those which have been harvested and saved the farmer from one season to the next. But regardless of the huge contribution of the seed, farmer seed in food and agricultural production, there is no single law in East Africa that has recognized them. It's maybe only in Ethiopia, where in their legal framework they have mentioned about they recognize farmer seed. If you look to other laws in East Africa, you find that farmer seed is hardly mentioned. And whenever it is mentioned, there are no strategic plans to make sure that farmer seed are supported, whether it is research, when it comes to quality, multiplication, and conservation. Most of our governments, they don't put resources and energy. It's only the civil society organization who have done a lot when it comes to farmer industry. So we call upon the EALA to make sure that this is a very important input in agriculture, which contributes a lot in food production. Generally in East Africa, we are food secure. It's only maybe 1 or 2 seasons where we experience some shortage, but not that much. So we are almost food secure. We come to Uganda, they are food secure. Come to Tanzania, they are food secure. The same applies to Kenya and the region at large. So we call upon the EALA members, when they are discussing the bill, especially the East African seed and potato, whatever, let them have a space for farmer seed, because to us it is an important resource in agricultural production, and they should not, it has to be recognized, because the food that is being produced, most of it comes from the farm.
My name is Shafiq Kajim, and I work with FIAN Uganda as the head of programs. We all know the importance of fish, and it's one of the traditional agricultural exports that we have in the region. However, now and then, whenever we discuss about policies to do with agroecology, where fish is normally left out. And we are experiencing a number of challenges across the region, just because we do not have a coherent and a harmonized regulatory framework when it comes to agroecology and fish. For example, in Uganda right now, we have regulations that were passed last year in 2024 on silverfish fishing. where the minister banned the use of a traditional method of fishing that people used to know that and have used for so long. And this now caused a lot of chaos in the country. We had people now transferring their boats from Uganda to other parts of the region. So why are we talking about agroecology, and we are seeking policymakers at least to come up with a regulatory framework on agroecology? It's because we are going to save our people from such chaoses and having to move from Uganda to other countries, or from Tanzania, Kenya to come to Uganda, yet we are using the same resource. So a harmonized regulatory framework on agroecology and fishing methods will really save our people from all this chaos. And also, why are we talking about agroecology in fisheries? When we look at the principles of agroecology, I'll just mention only 3. One is about the diversity. We've had conflicts that are emerging within fishing communities and are related to the different fish species. Because of the industrialization in the fishing sector, we are seeing that the current policies are promoting industrialization and promoting large-scale fishing over the small-scale fishing, which is sustainable. And this is eroding away the diversity of fish, where people are now centering on one type of fish, which is Nile perch, neglecting the silverfish. Yet it is the most important one, and giving livelihood to a number of people. Over 60% of the people working in the fishing sector rely on silverfish. The other one is sustainability. Bernard talked about the pesticides and the chemicals. Still, we are seeing a trend of developing cages and aquaculture. Yes, this would be a good move because it saves the lake from depletion, but it involves the use of chemicals as it happens in plants. It also involves the use of chemicals to prevent diseases, and also to allow fish to grow so fast. So as this chemical is used, it endangers the already traditional fish that we have into the water bodies. Then there is also co-management. Because of industrialized fisheries, we are seeing that some parts of the lake being restricted to the traditional fishers. Yet agroecology, when it is promoted and legalized, we are going to have co-management where communities are involved and participate in the management of fisheries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm Nansubuga, the proprietor of Nansubuga Farm, and I'm an agroecological farmer. Now, I want to put this on record that agroecology, much as there are so many talks about it, that agroecology is such a very rewarding business. There is one narrative I always tell my clients when they come here, that this is my business. So every time you come here, it is business. It is real business. And I have to elaborate on that. My land is a 10-acre piece of land, and I do dairy farming, and I have around 16 cows, and I produce milk more than what I need. And honestly speaking, I make some money out of milk. And when I look at my cows, they are like my backbone of my farm, and they manure almost like 80% of my enterprise here when it comes to the crops that I have. When you look at the coffee, I do coffee. I have around 380 plants of coffee, and they are manured by my cows. When you look, I have cinnamon. I have around 283 plants of cinnamon. I can't use all that kind of cinnamon. So when you look at it, it's 100% commercial. When you look at, I have sweet plantain. I produce around 280 kilograms every week, and that is some good money. At the same time, it is my dairy section that gives manure to the Gonja plantation. Now, when you look at the mangoes, actually one thing I didn't mention, agroecology. If you have to do agroecology, we have to look at animal integration and crop integration and poultry integration. Minus those three, then you can't do agroecology. Not forgetting bees, because somebody talked about the bee life. When you have to go into agroecology, bees are part of the system. So the whole narrative is that it's a system. We are trying to create an environment that is healthy for almost everything that the environment must have. So it's all about coexistence of one section with the other. So if I have to look at the poultry, I have around 2,000 birds layers, and that's enough manure that I can use. So the manure that I use in the flowers and then in the pineapples, it is coming from the birds. Now, if I have to say that I produce more than 50 trays every day, I can't eat all that. So I want to make this point extremely clear that agroecology is 100% possible. Yes, it takes some time to be where I am, but with a lot of patience, you can reach there. And I want us to know that when we eat healthy, agroecologically, we save a lot of money on medical care. Because so many times we don't look at what we put inside, and then we look at the medical. So if we have to divert the money that we use in healthcare, and then we divert it to agroecology, then we can break even. So let us try to promote agroecology because it's really paying. A single farmer like how you see me, and I've tried to make everything possible. My farm is now 5 years old, but everything is really possible, but with a lot of patience. Because everything comes with patience, everything comes when you have to look at a bigger picture. Because I want us to live away from a small picture which is always addressed with contemporary farmers. And let us try to look at a big picture. We are protecting the environment, we are protecting our health, at the same time we are living healthier. So practically, in brief, that's what we have to look at when it comes to agroecology.
Thank you so much.
Excuse me, say, okay, you can guide. You never know, you will take us where we wanted to go.
Go ahead.
You know, it's only a story, like for your case, if you monetize what you are telling us for sure. You can tell us that in this enterprise, which I have like about 200 crops of coffee, I put in this, I get this in a season, then we go like that, then we can know that really it is an enterprise which is profitable, and other people will now have to join.
Now,
do you know that it's possible?
Yes, it's extremely possible. Now, like when we are trying to do the farm tour, we went to the dairy section, and I said it's like my backbone of this farm. Agroecology, it has to be more effective if you use organic fertilizers, and my organic fertilizers come from majorly from the cows. I may say that 80% of my manure is from the dairy section. Now, I want us to understand that when I came here, I bought this land intentionally because there were so many pieces of land that I would have bought, and everybody was laughing at me when I bought here. But then I had it in mind.
Why were they laughing?
Because they were laughing at me because it was all a plain piece of land. What you could see 5 years ago was just a plain piece of land with no single tree. And if we have to move around this farm, I have a story to tell on each and every tree that you may come across. Now, I found out that to come up with what you see, it has to be with a dairy section. Now, before I started dairy farming, I could buy manure. I could invest in like 5 million. There was one time when I felt extremely, I needed to manure almost everything. And each truck, I could buy it at around 250,000. Then I said that if I have to buy manure, how sustainable will this farm be? That I have to buy manure. So many times I could look for it. You look here, 10 miles away from my farm, and then I could, you need manure this season, and then the next season you need the same manure. Then I said, other than buy manure, let me resort to buying cows. And I have to say that in the last 3 years, I've invested more into cows, more than buying manure. Now, if I could buy, say, 10 trucks, then right now I buy like 2 to 3 trucks. So I've saved a lot when it came to buying manure, to buying cows. Now, when you look at my farm, it is progressing much more than how it was progressing earlier on. So if I have to save on buying manure, then I go to dairy section. I have the milk, I have the manure, I have the urine, and still I have the cows. So in a way, it is paying. That is one enterprise. Now, when I have to look at the cinnamon, because I do lots of cinnamon, cinnamon is one other paying kind of product. Initially, when I came, there was one season when the rains, when the rains came, and all my plantain fell down. I lost close to 320 bunches of sweet plantain because of lack of windbreakers. Now, right now, I have the cinnamon, I harvest the cinnamon, but at the same time, I have the windbreakers. So in a way, I'm earning much more than what I used to earn. When you look at, I love flowers, and everybody that knows me knows that I love flowers. When you look at my garden, my flowers were highly depleted, and I could still buy a lot of manure. Now, when you look here, the place looks more beautiful because of the manure I get from the chicken dropping. So in a way, agroecology, it is paying. It is paying, and you save a lot. I know, like what I had discussed earlier on, you have to inject in some good money at the start of it all, but it needs a lot of patience. I can't promise you that when it comes to that timeline, I can beat contemporary farmers. But when it comes to health, a bit of it, and when it comes to earning much more, because for the contemporary farmer, he will earn a lot today, but then tomorrow he won't earn. For me, it keeps on getting better and better. That's how we can look at it.
The biggest civil society movement in Africa. We have farmers networks, fisher folks, pastoralists, indigenous peoples, women networks, youth networks, consumer associations, faith-based institutions, and the bigger African civil society. More than 200 million Africans. I just want to put my sisters far into a bigger African context, probably a bigger global context. But let me start from Uganda. I think about 8 years ago, I have a friend called John Wilson. And he told me that if there is heaven on this earth, he said that Uganda will be the heaven. That's what he said to me. And I've started living in this country, and for the last almost 4 years, and I could see why he said it. But the sad part is the food import of Uganda is very much increasing, and the export of some substances, some foods or some crops is increasing from Uganda. One example probably is coffee. So for the sake of coffee, then the food import in Uganda is increasing. So how do we see this as a direction? As you know, one of the the legacy of colonialism is that they've encouraged us to focus on production and exporting of food, and instead of eating the food that we produce ourselves. So food the food sovereignty, the core concept of food sovereignty is what is the purpose of food? Is it for commodity or selling it outside of your country? Is it for feeding your own people? That's the center of food sovereignty. As you can see now in the continent, and increasingly, people are using more and more of agricultural chemicals, what we call agrochemicals. GMOs are increasing, and improved varieties are increasing, and land is considered as free, and land grab is increasing in the continent. This is all leading us into a corner that will be difficult for us to extricate ourselves. So a farm like this one tells us the direction that we should go. You know, we can produce our food in every part of Africa. Food production, increasing the productivity of our food, the health of our food, increasing our resilience is possible. That's what is food sovereignty is focusing on. Food sovereignty, the way it differs from food security, is the food should be under the control of our farmers. It has to be produced without impacting the environment, and also the food control, the control of the total global food control should be in the hands of the countries themselves. Now global actors are controlling food production and distribution in the world. So that's what I wanted to say, and there's so much that can be said, but I'm very, very much happy to hear a music to my ear. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, David, for the very wonderful organization. I cannot miss to appreciate Doreen and the team. Thank you, Dr. Million, and thank you, Nansubuga and the PAM. We are at home. We have come as an assembly. The whole East African Legislative Assembly is today in Nansubuga Agroecological Learning Farm. With all our distinguished staff of the Parliament, we are all here. So on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, Right Honorable Joseph Kartimana, we appreciate the people of Mukono for giving us this beautiful land that our sister Nansubuga is demonstrating to the world and to Africa in particular. My name is Gideon Gatpan. I am the chair of the Committee on Agriculture, Tourism and Natural Resources at the East African Legislative Assembly. We have come along with APSA, the overall umbrella of the movements that are advancing the need to reclaim our food sovereignty in Africa. So we started this journey together with SEPROT, in particular here in Uganda, of course a member of APSA, and other organizations which are members of APSA, and the overall coordination by Dr. Million in Africa. YALA bring the voice of the legislative assemblies, bring the component of policy and legislation. I need to remind us that the core mandate of the East African Legislative Assembly is to legislate, to oversight, and to represent the people of East Africa. As we represent the people of East Africa, we are equally concerned about the welfare of the people in the region. In this campaign, we know one thing, that smallholder farmers are the majority in our region. They are highly competed by corporations, and their effort and ability is dwindling. So the campaign by the APSA globally in Africa is a campaign that was supporting. And I want to reiterate the commitment that was made by the Right Honorable Speaker when APSA members paid a courtesy call to his office in Arusha, Tanzania, prior to an engagement that we had from 15, capacity building from 15 to 16 of October 2025. that he is committed to work alongside all the members of IALA to ensure that we support the campaign to promote agroecology in Africa, and East Africa in particular. That is standing. We are currently undertaking the processes. You know, a lot of studies have been done, and there is a gap being established that smallholder farmers or farmers who are using agroecology are not protected. Their seeds are not protected. So they are competed and they are facing a challenge. And there is no law that provides for that. So, and the process of lawmaking requires a lot of steps to be taken. We have made the first engagement with the CEPROT and FAO last year in 2024 in Kampala here. It produced 2 engagements that we did in Addis Ababa together with APSA, one in July and another one in October. And then finally the one we did in October again in Arusha. So now, all those engagements, we did not have first-hand experience from a farmer like Nansubuga. So because our debates must be informed by theory and also by practice. So we need to come and witness what is happening with agroecology. To be sincere, we are all impressed and we are happy that an African from East Africa has demonstrated the ability to prove to the world and to Africa and to East Africa in particular that agroecology is the way forward.
Agroecological, not too much. And we set up agroecology farms for you. Then that means that at least in every community where you come from, there is an agroecology farm. Let us have too many Nansubuga farms everywhere in East Africa, and then we proceed. Thank you so much.
Now, the energy has been too much. This mission 5 years ago, did you envision this time where members, including myself, will be actually following you for lectures? Did you envision this time? That's my question.
Of us were not passionate about farming, myself, but now I think this agroecological farm I should also try, especially for my safety. So I don't have a question, but for us it's a commitment. Our role is legislation, it's oversight, it's representation. On representation, of course, now we are more aware, and we should be able to raise awareness to our citizens about agroecology. But on matters of legislation, I know the chairperson of the Agriculture Committee is here. I know we are in the process of developing a bill, but this is what we call private members' bill, and it can be quite expensive. It's different from what we call council member bills. These are bills that come from partner states, and partner states fund their bills. But if it comes from a member or for us a committee, we need to look for funding. But also we also need expertise, technical support, like all this knowledge. You are here. So I just wanted to hear from you because we have the expertise on agroecology. But through you, again, you can also work together to help us mobilize support in terms of funding so that we can have a good bill. That should be our legacy, at least for us who have learned more about agroecology. So I just want to know whether, I see Dr. Million is here, you have networks, Dr. Kabanda, even Jane and all of you there, you have the expertise. So what do we do in terms, how do you support us in terms of research so that we can come up with a very good bill? Because the quality of the bill that we have, it is easy for buying at the level of partner states and also, of course, the funding. So that's what I want to hear from you. Otherwise, for us, the commitment is there. We wish that bill can be passed even tomorrow. At least at our level, and I'm sure I'm speaking for many, we are committed, and that's what we can do. but we need your support in terms of funding and also technical support. Thank you.
Spoke about the hazardous materials in whatever we consume, and what you're saying is not out of the Treaty of Establishment of East Africa, because when it comes to protecting the environment, the partner state has committed to protect the environment of East Africa from each and every hazardous material. So the provision of the treaty is there. When it comes to the seeds also, there is an article of cooperation on the seed protection and all this. So whatever you're saying is within the provision of the treaty, and I think we will work hard. But still, Dr. Million, my last question is, how do we make agroecology in big scheme farming?
No.
You know, because
as you said, and I visited this farm here, I saw the kind of farm I used to see when I was a child in Burundi. And we used to eat good food at that time in my area. And I saw my grandmother, and she died when I was already in the university doing my engineering studies in Belgium. And my grandmother died, I was already married and working in telecommunication company of Burundi. I still luckily have still having my mother. I'm going to clock 66 years next December. What I see now, when I went to Google, trying to farm by YouTube, Swahili Kase podcast, funded or supported by West Seed Company, East African Seed, Corporation Seed, something similar, and so and others for vegetable, for maize, and other crops. We are advocating of utilization of these chemical fertilizers.
During the presentation of Bernard, he said that only 2% of the pesticide utilized in Kenya is bio, which means others are harmful to the life of our citizens. He said also that some pesticides are prohibited in Europe and are utilized in Africa. He said also that water we are utilizing is not clean. What are you doing to protect the lives of our citizens? What can we do together to protect our citizens? There is also a question about the budget utilized by our government in agriculture sector. As far as Rwanda is concerned, we are at 4.6%.
I'm just going to respond and give a piece of information. I'm from Pelham Association. What we can give, I will share a link. We have a link that takes you to the EU official website. For all of you, you can be able to go to that link with the over 200 pesticides that have been banned in EU. When you go to your country, you just look for a name of a pesticide and you just put it in that link. Or it gives you everything about that pesticide. Why it was banned, why it was done. It is there. We are going to share the link. I'll share with the Dr. Kabanda, and you'll be able to share with all of you so that you can be able to know which ones are safer. And then when you're legislating, you know everything. But also make sure when it comes to the Bureau of Standards in your different countries, the technocrats should be able to get this information so that even when they are clearing whatever comes to our countries, they know that they are clearing poison. Thank you.
Our work can be very easy so that we incorporate these good ideas into it. Thank you.
Whatever the cross-border trade, as we are talking about cross-border trade, and if we have these kinds of things crossing, and I know you found it difficult to evaluate, you even presented to us in Arusha that we have the beans and everything, a lot of our food is still agroecological. And you said there are many, many things that you used to categorize as agroecological. But I was wondering if these pesticides that are very highly hazardous aren't a very big contribution agroecological or not. So if they are there, how come we have a number of crops that are still agroecological? Thank you.
We discuss in detail how we can do. I think we'll produce a draft where we will have a meeting with you for you to critique it. And after that, we'll get back to you and we'll give you something. Yeah, as soon as possible. We'll have to do that. Thank you for asking even that. You know, large-scale farming and agroecology. Part of me says that the majority of African farmers, over 80%, are small-scale farmers. Huh? They are small-scale farmers. The majority of farming that happens in Africa is small-scale farming. So if we fix these farms, if we make sure that the food that is coming out of these farms is healthy, sustainable, resilient, and just, we have achieved hugely. Saying that though, can we do large-scale agroecology? Yes. Has it happened? Yes. In Netherlands, for example, there's a big farm in Netherlands. They do it using technology, as a country, and they mix the crops, you know, one on one land, one crop, another land crop, another land crop, and they use mostly natural things, but they miss. In agroecology, you know, agroecology has 3 legs, as you know. One leg is practice, one leg is science, one leg is social movement. We can take that as an experience and do it for our narrative in social movement. But I cannot say that there is a social movement in the Netherlands is very strong also. It is to some extent. But I worry about the more than 80% of our farmers. More than the bigger. But it's possible. Thank you very much. Dr. Kamana?
Okay, thank you so much. There's a question on how can we protect our citizens. I think bottom of the line is that you must ban the highly hazardous pesticides. You must do it, because if we don't, they will keep coming, and our farmers, whenever they find them on the market, they will certainly buy them. Because for them, they assume that you guys have approved them. So the only thing we need to do, which is logic, is just to put a ban on the highly hazardous pesticides, period. And I think that is all we can do. If we don't do that, farmers will have access. I have to confirm this, that all your mothers or fathers in the villages down there, they have access to them. You'll find that the empty bottles, for instance, of the pesticides, our parents are keeping sugar in them. They are keeping salt in those bottles. They are keeping green tea leaves in those bottles. And some of them are even going to the landfills. So how on earth would we allow that kind of insane kind of practice to actually accept them in our countries? Why on earth would we do that? So for me, my call is, ladies and gentlemen, you have the power. You have the mandate to do this. Please, for the sake of the African continent, must ban these pesticides, which are highly hazardous in nature, period. Thanks.
I'm really humbled. I take the doctorate in good spirit. Thank you so much. That one is a serious teaser. Now, envisioning. I may say, yes, I'm a big dreamer, extremely big dreamer, but this time round, I'm overwhelmed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've never envisioned a parliamentary sitting to be in my home. I've never envisioned the whole of East Africa to be here in one house. speaking the same language with good and moreover, when my parents are here and I'm one of the speakers and being awarded a doctorate, you know, everything is, I'm really humbled. But above all, I'm so happy that my dream 5 years ago are producing results. And it's my humble prayer that everything that we are envisioning right now, me and you, becomes a reality one day. And still, I have to go back to thanking again. I'll never thank you again. Rather, I'll never thank enough. My mother, actually there is a story behind my mother. I wish she can stand up for more recognition. When I was envisioning this, that lady you see there, I was going through some tough time. We slept with her in one bed for 1 full year. That lady you see there, she believed in what I was dreaming. She believed in my visions. And thank you so much, Ajat. So, envisioning this, you know, like what I said earlier on, you need people around you to cushion you. And I may say I had the best pillows around me. The Reverend, you see there, please Reverend Nambi, she came here and prayed with me, with her husband. You know, there are certain moments that you can't erase in your memory. She came here and she looked at me and I looked at her and I said, I'm going to make it happen. You know, this is where things come up. The Reverend Father Mwai Mwanyinaze, he's always my frequent visitor here. He's a big dreamer as well. And he believes in me. So somehow, the envisioning, much as I stand here as Nansubuga, I've not been alone. And I can't forget my God. I'm a strong believer in my God. Because he has always been there. So thank you so much, honorable members. I've never thought of addressing a parliamentary kind of session like what I'm doing now. We go around.
You are giving us new energy to even start on a new kind of level as civil society. In the morning I was speaking to the young blood in civil society and I told them, you guys, the members of Parliament of East Africa are giving us a platform. We cannot afford to look back. Let us continue working together as East Africans and let us put the energy we all have to get the products that we need. Now, just to add on what Madam Nansubuga is talking about, when I saw he's talking, I said, Lubega, stand up for recognition. Lubega was my student in the university. Yeah, so when he came here, because I put a task in office, we cannot talk about things that no farmer is doing. You must look for farmers who are doing this. And now they came back to me and they told me, we have found a woman. I was like, what? They brought me here, and when I saw where she started from, we didn't just have enough time. If she could show you how this land looked like, when I saw how she dug holes using Nsurulis. What is Nsuruli in English? The big axe. Yes, on those rocks, and she's planting trees. Yet we have some good soils, and we are not doing anything. I was like, this is resilience. This is what we are talking about. There is a spirit, and I felt it. So I was like, we are going to go. And like Dr. Million said, in agroecology, there is that component of a social movement. So the social aspect also brings us together. It's like, don't think that there are no hard times. times. They are hard times, of course. But the spirit and love puts them off. Now, they were, of course, on the issue of funding, we are not going to go back and fold our hands. Chair, be sure we are going to overwhelm your office. Then, secondly, there is an issue that, dear members of parliament, you should also know. Kenya banned these highly hazardous pesticides, like 27 molecules. But they are now being traded in Uganda and Tanzania and other parts of East Africa, yet Kenya banned them. So we need to have this harmonization. You understand? Now, the issue that the Honorable you asked about, we also sometimes wonder what happens with some government officials, because they are the scientists. Even their names are on the internet. I know the person who signs consignments that come to Uganda. I know him by name, by face. We have told them stop, but the guys are not stopping. Sometimes the big men may not know. For me, I have told people in this movement, I love Museveni. You may don't like him because of politics, I don't care. But the guy has, for every time, been telling us, you guys, for me, I'm taking my millet. This cup I'm holding, it is millet. And we are not listening. The guy has, you see, Parliament of Uganda passed the GMO bill 3 times and he rejected it. He said, over my dead God, I'm not going to sign this monster thing. And he rejected it. So for me, as a food advocate, Seven is my guy. So some leaders are interested. Maybe we've not worked with or against some of the middle line policymakers who must not see. Sometimes when Museveni listened about aflatoxins, he said, but you guys who work in my government, are you okay? Why is it that you don't work on aflatoxins? So I think we have the political will if we pushed this, and I'm sure if we worked on an agroecology law, the partner states will sign it quickly. I feel it in the spirit if we worked on it.
Already started. The journey started with all the activities that we have done with AFSA this year. This is number 4, and we have number 5, which is taking place in Nairobi from 3rd to the 4th. So we accumulate them to have one big report being done by the Kenyatta University in Kenya. The outcome of the report will come out in January. So it will be presented to the committee between 21st, 23rd to 31st of January. So that will be also a report that will be one of the foundations of our bill. Again, we have asked Dr. Millian to provide the research of all that he knows, and together with his team to back up the bill. So by March, we shall have the committee that has taken a decision to have a committee bill. And because debating this report and all these kind of things, a decision will be made by the committee. So when that decision is made, now we'll come back to what Honorable Dangisa and other colleagues have asked, that we now have a draft. You are now our think tank. So think tank that has also to lobby for some funding, because this is going to be entirely partner supported bill. But we have a political will in the region, we have that assessment. Yeah. So now, you will come up now with that draft. When the committee has decided, you will come with that draft and you will present it to the committee. And the committee will use that draft to now engage the office of the legislative draft person to put it in the EAC language of laws. So then we shall have it tabled to seek for the leave of the House, and then the process will kick off. But we believe that we shall work the journey together. So that is the end point of our journey with regard to this. Now the second challenge is now the hazardous toxic, the highly hazardous waste, whatever chemicals, pesticides. That's a very big challenge. So I invite all the members to, and even our staff, to take interest, especially the research department, to link up. I see our good lady in the research department is around. Dr. Natol, I think, is not here, but she's here. So we take interest now to check on that website the link that shall be provided,
So we need even ourselves as members of IALA to have another deliberation on our side to dig into the nitty-gritties of this kind of problem. Then we see how we can intervene, because it is really affecting IALA.
Thank you. My name is Gideon Gatpan, the chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Tourism and Natural Resources at the East African Legislative Assembly. We have come here today with the Assembly to come and learn in the Nansubuga agroecological farm in Mukono. So we had the best experience because we have had a discussion with the APSA and also SEPROT, Center for Food and Adequate Living Rights, and APSA stands for Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa. So we have had discussions and deliberations throughout this year 2025, but we decided that for members of parliament to have first-hand information, we need to bring them to where the agroecology is being practiced. And Madam Jane Nansubuga here is the best example in Africa and probably across the globe in terms of agroecology. So we have come to share her experience and also bring legislative eye to see what she's doing and how we can be able to promote agroecology by enacting a law, a legal framework that will protect our small farmers in East African community. And by extension, it will also be applied in Africa, because through the advocacy by APSA is a big coalition of civil society movements that is promoting agroecology across Africa. So East African community being a community that has got a legislative assembly, that gives it a good competitive advantage. So as East African legislators, we are working together with the African movements, civil society movements, to promote agroecology, for our people to eat safe food, for our people also to preserve their soil and their environment, and to create resilience to our crops in Africa. To protect our seeds, to have our Africa indigenous seeds in the market is something very important. So we need to protect our original seeds from being completely wiped out of the market by conventional agriculture. So we are promoting agroecology to preserve African culture, African heritage in food system. This is what we are doing today, and we are going back now to Kampala, and we will continue the journey together with our partners, SEPROT, the APSA, to ensure that we end this journey by having a law that protects smallholder farmers in East African communities. Thank you.
I'm Jane Nansubuga, the proprietor of Nansubuga Farms. I'm very, very excited. I never knew that I can make the whole of East Africa to come here, and they have their sitting here, a full house. I'm really excited. When I look at back 5 years ago when I started this farm, I never thought that it can be this real. So right now I'm really excited that my agroecological ways of farming are paying off. And how I wish we get so many converts to do my kind of farming, such that because it's sustainable, it's healthier, it's environmental friendly, and we save on a lot in terms of medicine when we use agroecology. I started in a very humble way.
Yes.
That was a time when I had to retire voluntarily from teaching, and so many people were against me because by that time I was one of the celebrated teachers in the country, and I had more 20 years to retire officially. But then I said, let me sacrifice my teaching career, much as it was really successful, and I tried to showcase what people didn't know about agroecology, because to me, when I look at agroecology, it is the way forward, because it brings better food on table. And I bought this piece of land strategically, and because I wanted to buy a barren, in quotes, a barren piece of land that people thought that was barren, and I could bring it back to life. And 5 years down the road, I'm so happy that I'm here showcasing what I've been able to deliver. It has been quite a challenging piece of work, because it needs a lot of work, it needs a lot of input, it needs your presence, it needs your dedication, it needs a lot of money. But I'm so grateful that against all odds, I've been able to deliver what you see right now. Because when I came here, it was all a plain piece of land. There was no single tree here, no single tree here. There were just some simple shrubs that still I try to maintain and clean up so that I can try to put more trees. And the trees you see now and everything you see now, it is coming my way, and I'm so happy about what I've done